Take a deep breath and close your eyes for a moment. Think of someone in your life, someone close to you, who makes you feel unsettled, not in an obvious way. No, this is deeper. It's that subtle feeling in your chest when they smile at you, that slight tension in your shoulders when they enter the room, that quiet voice inside that whispers, "Something isn't quite right here." You open your eyes and the feeling fades, but the question lingers. Why do we sometimes sense darkness behind the brightest smiles? Carl Jung, one of humanity's greatest explorers of the psyche, unveiled a profound truth that might shake your understanding of human nature. He called it the shadow, that hidden part of ourselves that we desperately try to deny, but which reveals itself in the most unexpected ways. What if I told you that right now, someone in your life is wearing a mask? That their words say friend, but their soul whispers foe? The ancient spiritual masters knew this truth. What disturbs us in others is often a reflection of our own unacknowledged darkness. But here's what makes this knowledge so powerful and so dangerous. Once you understand these 8 unmistakable signs of hidden hostility, you'll never see your relationships the same way again. In the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you the exact psychological patterns that Jung discovered. Patterns that reveal when someone's friendly exterior masks a hidden reservoir of resentment or hate. But be warned, this knowledge comes with a price. Because once you see these signs, you can't unsee them. And more importantly, you'll begin to recognize them not just in others, but in yourself. Are you ready to look behind the mask? To see what Jung saw? To understand why that feeling in your gut might be trying to tell you something vital about the people closest to you? Let's begin this journey into the shadow realm of human relationships. Carl Jung once wrote that, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." These words carry a profound truth that ancient spiritual traditions have known for millennia. The shadow isn't just a psychological concept, it's a gateway to profound spiritual awakening. Picture this. Every time you've rejected a part of yourself, every trait you've deemed unworthy, every emotion you've pushed into the depths of your psyche, they don't simply disappear. Instead, they gather in what Jung called the shadow self. This shadow isn't just darkness. It's all the parts of ourselves we've never learned to love, all the potential we've never dared to embrace. But here's where it gets fascinating. When we reject these parts of ourselves, they don't stay hidden in our unconscious mind. Instead, they become like invisible projectors, casting images onto the people around us. That friend who triggers inexplicable anger in you? That family member whose success fills you with unspoken resentment? They're often mirrors reflecting back the very parts of yourself you've tried so hard to deny. The ancient yogis understood this. They spoke of Maya, the illusion that keeps us from seeing the truth about ourselves and others. The Buddhist masters called it avidya, the fundamental ignorance that creates suffering. Jung brought these timeless spiritual insights into the realm of modern psychology, showing us that what we hate in others is often what we can't accept in ourselves. Think about the last time someone's behavior deeply disturbed you. That disturbance, that emotional charge, it's like a compass pointing toward your own shadow. This is why understanding the signs of hidden hostility isn't just about protecting yourself from others' negative energies. It's about embarking on the most profound journey of all, the journey into your own hidden depths. When you learn to recognize these 8 signs we're about to explore, you're not just learning to read others more clearly, you're learning to read yourself. You're beginning to shine light into those corners of your psyche where your own rejected parts have been hiding, waiting to be acknowledged, waiting to be healed. This is where true spiritual transformation begins. Because once you understand how to spot these signs of hidden hostility, you gain access to something far more valuable: the ability to see yourself with complete clarity and radical honesty. But before we dive into these 8 signs, I need you to understand something crucial. Something that most people get completely wrong about hidden hostility. You see, we're conditioned to believe that those who harbor negative feelings towards us must be obvious enemies, people who openly challenge us or clearly show their dislike. This is a dangerous illusion. The truth is far more subtle and far more profound. Jung discovered that the most potent form of hostility often comes from those who are closest to us. The people we break bread with, share our dreams with, trust with our vulnerabilities. Why? because these relationships carry the deepest spiritual contracts, the most intense karmic bonds. Think about it. The colleague who always seems to support you, yet somehow leaves you feeling diminished after every interaction. The family member who claims to want the best for you, while subtly undermining your confidence. The friend who celebrates your successes with words that somehow feel empty, hollow, like a bell without a clapper. These people aren't your enemies, at least not in any way that your conscious mind can easily recognize. And this is exactly what makes their impact so powerful, so insidious. They operate in that twilight zone between light and shadow, where your intuition screams, but your rational mind keeps making excuses. Here's the most challenging truth of all. The closer someone is to you, the more access they have to your spiritual and emotional energy field. Just as a key that perfectly fits a lock has the power to open or jam it, those closest to you have the greatest power to either nurture or poison your spirit. This is why the signs we're about to explore aren't just practical tools. They're spiritual awakening devices. They will help you see through the veils of Maya, the illusions that keep you bound in relationships that drain your life force rather than enhance it. Are you ready to learn how to read these subtle, energetic signatures? To understand the language of unspoken hostility that Jung discovered? To finally trust that quiet voice inside that's been trying to protect you all along? The first sign emerges in the realm of words, in what Jung called shadow speech. When someone harbors hidden hostility, their words become weapons wrapped in velvet. They master the art of the subtle dig, the poisoned compliment, the joke that leaves a wound. "I was just kidding," they'll say. But your soul knows differently. This verbal shadow dance often takes the form of persistent sarcasm or irony about things they know matter to you. Perhaps you've shared a dream, a hope, a vulnerable piece of your spirit, and they respond with what seems like playful mockery. But there's a pattern. Their jokes consistently target the same aspects of your being, the same dreams, the same vulnerabilities. Jung understood that when someone repeatedly uses humor to diminish specific parts of you, they're actually revealing their own spiritual wounds. Their words become mirrors reflecting not your inadequacies, but their own unhealed parts, their own unfulfilled desires. That's why their comments land with such precision. They're actually speaking to their own shadow through you. The second sign manifests in the realm of energy and action, what the ancient traditions called karma, and what Jung recognized as unconscious sabotage. This is where hidden hostility becomes a force that actively works to dim your light, though always in ways that maintain plausible deniability. Watch for the pattern of convenient forgetfulness, the important email they never received, the crucial message that somehow got lost, the timing that's always just slightly off enough to create obstacles in your path. One such incident might be a coincidence. Two might be circumstances. But when it forms a pattern, you're witnessing the shadow at work. This form of sabotage is particularly potent because it operates in the realm of plausible deniability. "Oh, did you need that information today? I thought it was next week. Was that meeting important? I must have misunderstood." Each incident seems innocent enough in isolation, but together they form a pattern of energetic obstruction. Jung taught us that this behavior often stems from a deep spiritual wound, the pain of someone who feels threatened by your light, your growth, your potential. Their unconscious mind, unable to face their own feelings of inadequacy, creates these small acts of sabotage as a way to maintain their psychological equilibrium. Understanding these first two signs isn't about paranoia. It's about awakening to the subtle energies that shape our relationships. It's about developing what the Buddhist traditions call clear seeing, the ability to perceive truth beyond the veils of illusion that others, and often we ourselves, create. The third sign emerges in what Jung called the eternal dance of comparison, the subtle yet persistent need to engage in silent competition. This manifests as an almost compulsive tendency to shift the spotlight, to redirect attention away from your light and onto themselves. When you share a victory, a blessing, or a moment of growth, they respond not with genuine joy, but with a story of their own achievement. This behavior runs deeper than mere self-centeredness. Jung discovered that when someone consistently cannot allow you to have your moment of shine, they're actually revealing a profound spiritual wound, what the Buddhist traditions call the hungry ghost. This is the part of their psyche that feels eternally empty, constantly needing to feed on the energy of others' moments to feel whole. You'll notice it in the way they respond to your good news. If you share a professional achievement, they'll immediately mention their own career progress. If you talk about personal growth, they'll subtly imply they've already mastered that lesson long ago. Every conversation becomes a hidden competition, every interaction a subtle battle for spiritual supremacy. The fourth sign manifests in what appears to be its opposite: excessive kindness and care that somehow leaves you feeling diminished. Jung called this shadow nurturing, where support and care become subtle forms of control and spiritual vampirism. This is perhaps the most insidious of all signs because it masquerades as love and concern. Watch for the pattern of help that somehow always makes you feel less capable, less confident, less empowered. They'll offer advice before you ask for it, point out potential problems before you've had a chance to explore solutions, and wrap criticism in the cloak of caring. They'll say, "I'm just worried about you," or "I only want what's best for you." This form of shadow expression is particularly powerful because it creates a double bind. If you reject their help, you appear ungrateful, but if you accept it, you surrender your power. The ancient spiritual traditions spoke of this as a form of energy theft disguised as generosity. The helper appears to give, but actually takes your confidence, your autonomy, your right to learn through experience. Jung understood that this behavior often stems from a deep fear of insignificance. Those who engage in shadow nurturing are often trying to secure their own importance by creating dependency in others. Their unconscious reasoning is, if I can make you need my help, my advice, my protection, then I have value, then I have purpose. Understanding these signs requires a delicate balance of awareness and compassion. Remember, those who express hostility through these patterns are often unaware of their own shadow dance. They are, in many ways, as many victims of their unconscious patterns as those they affect. The fifth sign reveals itself through what Jung termed the authority shadow, the need to control disguised as wisdom or experience. This manifests as an intricate web of suggestions, advice, and guidance that seems helpful on the surface but serves to undermine your spiritual sovereignty. It's as if they've appointed themselves the guardian of your path, the keeper of your choices. When someone is expressing this shadow pattern, they'll often present themselves as more evolved, more experienced, more spiritually advanced. They might say things like, "I've been through this before," or "Trust me, I know what's best." But beneath these words lies a deeper truth. Their need to control your journey isn't about your growth. It's about managing their own fear of chaos and uncertainty. This pattern becomes particularly visible in moments of your transformation or growth. As you begin to expand beyond the role they've assigned you in their psyche, their guidance intensifies. The suggestions become more insistent, the advice more urgent. They might even invoke spiritual principles to justify their control. "I'm just trying to protect your energy," or "I'm helping you stay aligned." The sixth sign emerges in what Jung recognized as reputation shadowing, the subtle art of diminishing your light through the power of words spoken to others. This is where hidden hostility becomes social, weaving its way through your community or circle through carefully crafted stories and strategic sharing of concerns. Watch for the pattern of stories that seem supportive on the surface, but carry seeds of doubt. They might share your struggles with others under the guise of seeking help for you. "I'm really worried about their choices," or "They seem to be going through a difficult time." Each story, each shared concern creates a subtle web of energy that affects how others perceive you. The seventh sign manifests through what Jung called the mirror of success, a profound inability to genuinely celebrate your achievements or growth. This runs deeper than mere envy. When someone carries this shadow pattern, your moments of triumph become uncomfortable reflections of their own unfulfilled potential. Your light inadvertently illuminates their darkness. You'll notice this in the subtle energetic shift that occurs when you share good news. Their response might come quickly. "That's great," or "Well done," but their words feel hollow, as if they're reading from a script rather than speaking from the heart. There's often a swift attempt to change the subject, to move the conversation away from your moment of shine. The ancient spiritual traditions spoke of this as the borrowed mask. when someone performs the role of supporter while their spirit recoils. The most revealing aspect of this sign appears in their eyes. Jung noted that while the conscious mind can craft perfect words, the eyes reveal the shadow's truth. Watch for that momentary flicker, that brief dimming of light when you share your joy. It's not just that they can't celebrate with you. It's that your success causes them genuine psychic pain, a pain they must immediately suppress and deny. The eighth and final sign is perhaps the most subtle and yet the most revealing of all. Jung called it the body's truth, the way our physical form betrays our hidden hostilities despite our best attempts at concealment. This is where the unconscious mind speaks through the language of gesture, posture, and micro-expressions. When someone harbors hidden hostility, their body becomes a map of their true feelings. Notice the subtle tensing of their shoulders when you enter a room, the almost imperceptible step backward when you approach, the way their hands might tighten when you speak of your achievements. These aren't conscious actions. They're the shadow speaking through the body's own language. Pay special attention to what Jung called gestural contradictions, when someone's words say one thing, but their body communicates another. They might say, "I'm so happy for you," while their body subtly turns away. They might offer congratulations while their arms cross protectively over their chest. They might smile while their feet point toward the nearest exit. The body never lies. It can't. It's the purest expression of our unconscious truth. This sign becomes particularly powerful in moments of unexpected meeting. When we encounter someone suddenly, before they have time to don their social mask, the body reveals what the conscious mind conceals. That first unguarded reaction, a momentary stiffening, a fleeting grimace quickly converted to a smile, a subtle recoil disguised as surprise. These are what Jung called windows to the shadow. Understanding this final sign requires us to develop what the Eastern traditions call the witnessing consciousness, the ability to observe subtle energetic and physical cues without immediately rationalizing them away. Your body knows. Your spirit recognizes. The question is, are you willing to trust this deeper knowing? Now that you understand these 8 signs of hidden hostility, I need to share with you the most profound truth of all, one that Jung discovered after decades of exploring the human psyche. These signs aren't just about identifying negativity in others. They're mirrors, reflecting back the parts of ourselves we've yet to embrace, yet to heal, yet to love. Every time you recognize one of these signs in someone else, you're being offered a precious gift, a chance to look deeper into your own shadow. When someone's silent competition triggers you, ask yourself, where in your life are you competing instead of creating? When someone's false kindness disturbs you, explore where you might be using caring as a mask for control in your own relationships. This is the genius of Jung's shadow work. The people who trigger us most powerfully are actually our greatest spiritual teachers. That person whose subtle hostility you can now recognize, they're not your enemy, they're your mirror. They're showing you exactly where your own healing needs to take place. Think about it deeply for a moment. Why do some people's hidden hostility affect us so deeply while others barely touch us? Jung discovered that we're most sensitive to the shadow patterns that reflect our own unhealed wounds. When someone's sarcasm cuts us deeply, it's often because we harbor our own unacknowledged critical voice. When someone's inability to celebrate our success hurts us, it might be reflecting our own difficulty in celebrating others. This is where true spiritual alchemy begins. Instead of using these 8 signs as weapons of judgment, we can use them as tools of transformation. Each time you notice someone expressing hidden hostility, pause and ask yourself, what part of me is being shown to me right now? What aspect of my own shadow am I being invited to heal? The ancient spiritual traditions taught that our external world is always reflecting our internal reality. Jung brought this wisdom into modern psychology by showing us that what we react to most strongly in others is often a dissociated part of ourselves seeking reintegration. This doesn't mean the hostility isn't real. It simply means it's serving a higher purpose in your spiritual evolution. This understanding transforms everything. Suddenly, those who trigger us become our teachers. Their shadow behavior becomes a map, guiding us back to our own wholeness. Every instance of hidden hostility becomes an opportunity for profound self-discovery and healing. So where do we go from here? How do we transform this understanding of hidden hostility into a practice of profound spiritual growth? The path forward begins with a revolutionary shift in perspective that Jung discovered through his own deep inner work. Instead of viewing these 8 signs as warnings to protect yourself from others' negativity, see them as invitations to deeper self-knowledge. When you notice someone expressing hidden hostility, pause and take 3 conscious breaths. In that space of awareness, ask yourself, what is this interaction trying to teach me about myself? This doesn't mean you should tolerate toxic behavior or remain in harmful situations. Rather, it means extracting the spiritual gold from these challenging encounters before choosing how to respond. When someone's silent competition triggers you, sit with that feeling. Let it guide you to those places within yourself where you might be competing instead of creating, comparing instead of becoming. The ancient spiritual masters understood that our greatest growth often comes through our most challenging relationships. Jung brought this wisdom into the modern world by showing us how to use our triggers as doorways to self-discovery. Every instance of hidden hostility becomes an opportunity to practice what he called active imagination, a way of dialoguing with our own shadow aspects. Here's a practical approach. Start keeping what Jung called a shadow journal. When you notice any of these 8 signs in your interactions, write down not just what happened, but how it made you feel. What emotions arose? What old wounds were touched? What parts of yourself felt threatened or diminished? This isn't about analyzing others. It's about using their behavior as a mirror for self-reflection. Remember, the shadow isn't negative. It's simply unconscious. Every time you bring awareness to these patterns, you're shining light into previously dark corners of your psyche. This is the true purpose of recognizing hidden hostility, not to judge others, but to free ourselves from our own unconscious patterns. As you continue on this path of shadow integration, you'll notice something remarkable beginning to happen. The very behaviors that once triggered you will start losing their power. Not because others have changed, but because you've embraced and healed the corresponding parts of yourself. This is what Jung meant when he said that enlightenment is not about imagining figures of light, but making the darkness conscious. Your journey of spiritual growth is unique to you. Let these insights be guideposts rather than rules, invitations rather than obligations. Trust your inner wisdom to show you which aspects of your shadow are ready to be seen, ready to be held, ready to be transformed into light. The path of shadow work isn't always easy, but it leads to the most profound kind of freedom, the freedom to be fully, authentically yourself. And in that authenticity, you'll find that the hidden hostility of others no longer has the power to disturb your peace. Because you've learned to embrace both the light and shadow within yourself, you can meet others' shadows with compassion, understanding, and unwavering presence.